This is First Coast Math Clinic with Lesson 7, Graphing Linear Equations by Finding the X and Y Intercepts from Unit 7 Graphing. So the goal of this video is to graph linear equations in standard form by finding the X and Y intercepts. So before we get into X and Y intercepts, I'm going to talk about standard form a little bit. Because we've talked about slope-intercept form, I want to compare slope-intercept form with standard form. So we know that slope-intercept form is the form y equals mx plus b. So we've got our slope for m and our y-intercept for b. Standard form is in the form ax plus by equals c. So basically our x and y variables are on the same side and we've got a constant on the other side. So slope-intercept form we know is in the form, our general example, y equals 2/3 x plus 4. So we're given like m is 2/3 and our slope, or our y-intercept is 4. Our standard form will look something like this. 3x plus 5y equals 15. So again, our x and y are on the same side, and when we see an equation in standard form, we really want to find the x and y intercepts to graph. Okay, so slope-intercept form, we're using the slope and the y-intercept, m and b, to graph. When it's in standard form, that x and y value are on the same side, we're going to find our x and y intercepts, and I'm going to show you guys how to do that in a second. All right, so what are our x and y intercepts? So we've got our graph here. Our x-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. So we've got our point here. We'll call that point A, and that point is 5, 0. And we notice that point A, 5, 0. Well, what's our y value? We notice that the y value for that x-intercept is going to be 0. So the y value, this is an important piece of information, the y value at the x-intercept is going to be 0. All right, and what about my y-intercept? So the y-intercept is the point where the graph crosses the y-axis. So that's going to be our b value at 0, 3, which is right here. All right, and we notice that the x value at that y-intercept is 0 now. So here our x value is equal to 0. So again, the important information, this is our x-intercept, and our y is equal to 0. This is our y-intercept, and our x is equal to 0. And this is the information we're going to use to find our x-intercept and our y-intercept, because once we find these points, our y-intercept and our x-intercept, we can graph these 2 points and graph our line. All right, so let's get into some examples where we find our x-intercept and our y-intercept and graph our line. So for example 1, we want to graph by finding our x and y-intercept. So let's start with our x-intercept. So we know at our x-intercept, y is equal to 0. So let's set up our ordered pair, which is going to be part of our solution. So we know y is going to be equal to 0. So to solve this, let's take that 0 value and put it in for y. So we'll have 2x plus 3 times 0 equals 12. 3 times 0 is 0, so we can get rid of that. We'll get 2x equals 12. Divide by 2. Divide by 2. 2 divided by 2 was 1, and we get x equals 6. So we could fill in our x value here with a 6. So we'll call this point A at 6, 0. So we'll plot point A at 6, 0. So 6, 0, point A is right here. Now let's find our y-intercept. So at our y-intercept, we know x is equal to 0. So we'll call this point B, and we'll put that 0 value in our x coordinate for our solution. So we're going to take the 0 value, put it in for x. So we could have 2 times 0 plus 3y equals 12. We want to solve for y. 2 times 0 is 0. 3y equals 12. Divide by 3 and 3. And we get y equals 4. Now, what people sometimes do is they say, all right, well, we've got x equals 6, y equals 4, and they put together the ordered pair 6, 4. We don't want to do that. Okay, these are part of two separate ordered pairs, 6, 0, and we're going to take that 4 and attach it to this ordered pair right here, 0, 4. We don't want to make it the same part of the same ordered pair here, so we don't want to do that. Okay, so point B is 0, 4. So let's plot that point, 0, 4. X is 0, y is 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is our point B. So we've got our 2 points, our x-intercept here at point A, our y-intercept at point B. Let's connect these 2 points. And that's the graph of our line. All right, let's move on to our second example. So for example 2, we've got negative 6x plus 2y equals 6. So again, we notice that we've got the x and y on the same side, so our equation is in standard form. So we're going to find the x and y intercept to graph this. So starting with our x-intercept. So we know y is equal to 0. So our solution and our y-coordinate, let's put 0, and we're going to fill in the x value. We're going to figure out what that x value is. So I'm going to take that 0, substitute it in for y. So I'm going to have negative 6x plus 2 times 0 equals 6. 2 times 0 is 0, so we can get rid of that. And I get negative 6x equals 6, divided by negative 6, and negative 6. Negative 6 divided by negative 6 is 1, and 6 divided by negative 6 is negative 1. So that's going to be my x-coordinate. Again, we can call that point A. Again, the letter doesn't really matter. So negative 1, 0. X is negative 1, y is 0. So that's going to be point A, which is right here. And let's find our y-intercept. So our y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So we'll call this point B. So I'll start by filling in the x-coordinate was 0, and we want to figure out that y-coordinate. So we're going to take that value for 0, value for x, which is 0, put it in for x, and solve for y. So in our equation, we're going to have negative 6 times 0 plus 2y equals 6. Negative 6 times 0 is 0. So we're left with 2y equals 6, divide by 2, divide by 2, and I get y equals 3, because 2 divided by 2 is 1. And again, remember, we're not going to make an ordered pair out of these 2 points, so we're not going to get 1, 3. We don't want to write that. Okay, so don't do that. We're going to take that 3, put it in this ordered pair up here, so we're going to get 0, 3. So that's our y-intercept. So I'll graph that. X is 0, y is 3, 1, 2, 3. So that's point B. And this is going to be our graph. And we graph by finding the x and y intercepts. So number 3, I've got negative 5x minus 2y equals 10. So let's find our x-intercept. So y is equal to 0. So let's start it like this, just to be a little bit more definitive with what our answer should look like. So I'm going to take that y value, put it right here. So we're just looking for this x value, okay? So y is equal to 0. So negative 5x minus 2 times 0 equals 10. Negative 2 times 0 cancels out, it's just 0. So negative 5x equals 10. Divide by negative 5, divide by negative 5. Negative 5 and 5 cancel out, and we're left with 10 divided by negative 5 gives us negative 2. So our x value should be negative 2. So our x-intercept is negative 2, 0. Our y-intercept, x is equal to 0. So let's start with our ordered pair, 0. We want to fill in here. So I'm going to substitute that 0 in for x. So negative 5 times 0 minus 2y equals 10. Negative 5 times 0 is 0, so that goes away. Negative 2y equals 10. Divided by negative 2, divided by negative 2. Negative 2 divided by negative 2 is 1. And we get 10 divided by negative 2, which is negative 5. So we get negative 5 here. So my ordered pairs are going to be negative 2, 0, and 0, negative 5. So let's do this in red. I'll call this point A and this point B. So negative 2, 0. So x is negative 2, y is 0, and x is 0, y is negative 5. That's going to be our b value. So this is going to be our graph for negative 5x minus 2y equals 10. All right. So this was lesson 7 for unit 7, graphing linear equations by finding the x and y intercepts. If you like this video, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. First Coast Math Clinic.